Hello and welcome everyone to this joint webinar with Fomtec and Viking. What we'd like to do today is discuss fluorine-free foam systems and the importance of linking and having foam concentrates working in synergy with foam hardware. My name's Simon Barratt. I'm the foam product manager for Viking.
And I'm John-Olav Ottesen, the CEO of Fomtec.
Yeah, great to have you with us today, John. I think we've got lots to discuss, a lot going on at the moment. Fomtec and Viking have been working together now for over 15 years, and we shared a common philosophy in those early years that we wanted your foam concentrates and our expanding range of hardware working together, so they would meet international design requirements and also those international third-party approvals, which we're going to speak a little bit about today, because it was very important for both our companies to ensure we gave the market and our end users systems that were working together with clear design requirements.
Absolutely. I mean, it's all about providing solutions and enabling customers to comply with regulations, and it's all about trust and the proven technologies.
So with that in mind then, John, how are you seeing the fixed foam market at the moment? What's the current trends?
Well, I think it's very clear that the focus now is squarely on the transitioning to fluorine-free foam. That's the big trend, and it was this big shift of focus in the United States a couple of years ago has really accelerated the process, and so that's where the market is moving. And I think that the legislation is moving very quickly now. It's moving actually quicker than the industry itself. So it puts a lot of pressure on us and the users to come up with solutions. And particularly that is proven to be quite a difficult task, especially for the conventional sprinkler market, where it has been the tradition to use foam assisted sprinkler. And what is the situation there, Simon? Do you have any insight in that?
Yeah. I mean, you make a good point, because we, as a market trend, we've certainly got a lot of contact with insurers and end users that really want to move ahead with implementing fluorine-free solutions, but if you like, the technology is not there yet in terms of approvals and working systems. And you asked me what the problem is. I think, to make very clear to everyone, automatic fire sprinklers are not designed to work with foam. You just referred to foam-assisted systems. Sometimes we call them foam water systems, and it's where we're traditionally adding foam concentrate to water because water alone will not extinguish the fire, or we can reduce densities, flow rates a lot if we add foam concentrate. But speaking as a sprinkler manufacturer, we believe the market's around 60 million units per year. So you can imagine that's approaching a kind of commodity type price point. So when we look at other foam devices built for use with foam concentrates, a sprinkler isn't one of them, and as such we need to pass very demanding fire tests, which we're going to speak about more today. And it's taking time to get these non-fluorinated products to work.
Yes, it is a difficult task, and with a discharge device like a sprinkler head with a very, very low expansion and quite a forceful application method, it's a challenging job for any foam, and especially for a fluorine-free foam, I would say.
Yeah. John, you make a good point about the low expansion of sprinklers and also the forceful application that we see. And for that reason, we don't actually test sprinklers the same way as we test other discharge devices such as monitors, foam chambers, foam makers. And there we're using a method of foam qualities, which is something mentioned in NFPA 11, and of course the test standards from organisations like UL and FM. But could you explain a little bit more what we mean by foam quality and why that's so important?
Yes, well, you know, what puts the fire out is what comes out of the nozzle, and so it's important to have a link between the actual properties of the foam that is being generated by the large-scale equipment and the foam qualities or the properties of the foam that you use during testing. And obviously you can't use a monitor or a branch pipe or a foam chamber to actually do the qualification testing. So what we need to do is to measure the expansion and drainage times of the large-scale equipment, and then we need to reproduce those qualities with the small-scale equipment. And we're talking about expansion ratio. That's where we measure how much 1 liter of premix expands, and we take that data very accurately with the equipment that is designed to do so, the expansion and drain pot, using the test equipment. That's a lot of work. It sometimes can be very challenging to be able to nail those exact figures, but it's what we do. And then drainage time is an equally important property of the foam. It talks about, or it measures how quickly a quarter of the water of the foam drains out of the foam, and these properties are critical for the fire performance of the foam. So that link between the quality, the foam quality of the large-scale equipment and the quality of the foam we use when we actually do the fire testing according to FM or UL, that link is extremely important because there is a big difference between how these different foam quality performs. That is proven through all of the testing we do.
And of course, as we know, when we've even tried to measure expansion and drainage through sprinklers, it's very difficult, almost negligible to actually do that. So even if you try the foam quality approach with sprinklers, it's not a very good method, which is why there's different ways of doing that. So once we've gained the foam quality, the expansion and the drainage, we've then got the ability to replicate that through hose and nozzle configurations that we can then use later with fire testing. And we've got a short fire test video here. This is what we call a topside video, but this is what we mean by we're not actually testing a foam monitor with a fire or a foam chamber. We're testing its produced quality. So can you talk us through the video, please, John?
Yes, well, what we see here is a UL or FM topside test where we use a configured test nozzle to extinguish a fire. What we're seeing in this video is our Fomtec Enviro ARC tested on IPA. And so you will see the nozzle being used here, and it's a polar solvent test. So we're using a backboard, and the foam slides off of the backboard onto the fire. And the aim here is to put that fire out within 5 minutes, and then we will have what we call torch tests, where we prove whether or not the foam blanket is able to sustain the vapors for the duration of the test, and then at the end we will have the burnback test, where we will ignite a chimney, where we remove the foam blanket inside of the chimney, and then we will eventually pull the chimney out of the foam blanket, and we will then measure the burn back resistance of the foam blanket, which should be a minimum of 5 minutes. So
on this video, sorry John, on this video we've cut some parts out, but we could see an extinction in about 2 minutes 50, so we can continue discharging foam up to the 5 minutes, is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So you have 5 minutes of foam application. Whatever time you extinguish the fire, you just carry on until you've applied foam for 5 minutes. You will then do the torch test, as we can see here in the video, where we light a torch and we bring that across the blanket alongside the rims of the tray to check if there's any vapors coming through, reignition of the blanket. We do that twice in the waiting period before we do the burn back. And for these foams, there's a waiting period of 9 minutes, 9 to 15 minutes, depending on product and test type. And then you will do the burn back. It's a tough test for any foam, and I think in this particular test we had what we like to call it a selfie. We just pull that pot out and the fire went out. It's not often you see that.
No, it isn't, and obviously that's good for efficient testing and getting out of the research facility quicker. But I mean, this point about the qualities is very important. Well, it's always been important, but it's now even more important, I think, with fluorine-free foams, and that's even been highlighted by independent research, such as the NFPA Research Council, because we know we can take the same foam, the same device, but if, for example, we discharge at a lower or higher pressure, we can pass or fail a particular test. So this, I feel, is another reason why the manufacturers, the providers of solutions are keeping up with the pace of that legislation we spoke about earlier, because of all the testing that's having to happen, and all the the new ideas that we and all the new tricks that we need to learn. So I know there's a lot of work going on with foam quality. So again, important, the foam concentrate is interacting with the hardware, the discharge device.
Yeah, it's critical, and I think that the matching up of the qualities between what's actually fire tested and the equipment is totally critical, especially for the fluorine-free foams. So Simon, we have spoken about foam qualities and the importance of foam qualities. Why is Sprinkler unlike any other foam discharge device, in your opinion?
Yeah, well, again, we mentioned expansion, the low expansion earlier. Typically, from our experience, we've been getting expansions of only 2 to 1 or 3 to 1. And actually verifying if they're good tests or not is even difficult, because those qualities break down and change so quickly, and it takes time to actually run those tests. So that's one area where I don't feel a foam quality can work with sprinklers. Also, those very fast drain times are difficult to manage. But one of the other reasons why sprinklers are different is when we're developing these foams, and particularly Fomtec developing these foams, you've got to understand that it's going to be used with a discharge device that's not designed for foam and gives these poor qualities. So in some way, you've got to overcompensate or change the formulation in some way. I don't know exactly what you do. You won't actually tell me. But this is why specific foams developed for use with sprinklers are important, because you could have a very high-level product for emergency response, but that's been discharged through aspirating nozzles from the fire brigade, for example, which is a totally different scenario. I do feel that FM, Factory Mutual, with their standard 5130 and UL 162, for me, they're the leaders in terms of verifying and testing those sprinklers. And for example, the EN standard, foam standard 13565-1, doesn't even have a test for foam sprinklers. So I feel these two organisations are out there on their own, and they're testing all these parameters. They're verifying the K factor, design density, the type of fuel. FM are even looking at heights. As we know, height plays a very important role during the fire test, and we've actually got a video coming up now, John, which we're going to run through. Maybe you can describe what's going on here, but height and coverage of the foam in the pan is something to look out for.
Well, definitely, height plays a major role. What we are actually looking at here is our Fomtec Enviro USP put through the test. This is an FM test, 0.2 gallons per square feet density. The test describes that you need to put this fire out in 5 minutes. That's the maximum extinguishment time you will have. So you can see the USP. It's a forceful application, low expansion, and I think we put this fire out in about 55 seconds with USP, which is for any sprinkler foam, it's a very, very good performance. What is special with sprinkler testing on hydrocarbons is that you have to water deluge the foam blanket when you stop the foam discharge. So after 5 minutes, you swap to a water deluge, and you deluge that foam blanket with water for 5 minutes. The idea is that if you deplete your foam stock, the foam blanket must be able to survive a limited period of water deluge.
Sorry to interrupt, John. Just looking at the height on that previous view, that looks to be 20 to 25 feet, and we see a lot of the discharge actually falling outside of the pan.
Yes, absolutely. Height is critical, and when you move the height up, the more challenging the test will be. The foam hitting the target here is very challenging, and there's no film formation with a fluorine-free foam enabling you to create a film that will take the fire down. You depend on your foam blanket, and that's a very challenging test. So. And then after foam application, you will then do the normal torch testing and the burnback testing, which is the same as for the top side tests for the requirements. But I agree with you. The very, very important point here is the heights, and we test both at high heights and at very low heights. So we bring the grid down to 7-8 feet, and that can also be very challenging for a foam blanket, especially during the water deluge part of it. So, but to prove the performance, Simon, there's no other way than testing.
No, these tests have got to be actually run. We can't extrapolate, correlate data from other foam devices. And I think this video also shows my point about foams designed, for use with sprinklers to pass these kind of tests, because that water deluge with many foams, it will just break that foam down and destroy the blanket, which then when we get to this burn back phase is going to give us real issues. So we've just got to make sure we don't go beyond 20% of surface area. So this one didn't selfie, as you put it earlier, but it's still within the test parameters. So this one will be considered a pass. What I like about having run these tests, we then get a set of data, and that data is transferred into FM and UL's approved product website. We've got an example of a sprinkler approval coming on screen. As a manufacturer supplier, when I'm asked a question, does something work? I love to be able to go to data and say, well, this is the data. It's passed this test. If you've got this fuel, these sprinklers, this situation, then you've got a third-party approval, which I think is very powerful. So for our customers, fire protection engineers, designers, even AHJs, insurers, when they look at this table, they can see which type of sprinkler we've tested, the minimum, the maximum height, the fuel group that we've tested to, and then what density they need to design the system for. So it's very time-consuming testing. It's quite expensive testing, and I think this is why we don't see a big choice in the market at this moment in time, because it's tough and it's a large investment. But as we touched on in the market trends earlier, insurers need this. We know end users need it. People have to move either due to company policy or legislation. They need to move to fluorine-free products. So when we speak specifically about sprinkler systems, these are the things that we need to consider.
Yes, absolutely. And we often get the question, whether or not the customer can use existing sprinklers. And the problem there is that we need to verify the functionality of the foam with the actual sprinkler in use. So there's no way around testing. Correct.
And that's certainly a market trend that we've seen over the past 18 months to 2 years. So we just referenced that in NFPA and other design standards, there is a requirement to use products that are tested and approved with each other. So foam concentrates that are tested for use with specific discharge devices. But that's the American standards, and of course we're in Europe, and we have a design standard of our own. That's EN 13565 Part 2. That was recently updated in 2018. The previous version was 2009, and there was quite a significant change to the section or table referencing non-aspirated foam sprinklers, which is our main subject today. So can you elaborate on the before and after and the impact of that change, John?
Yes, well, I mean, in the old version of the standard, they referenced back to the European foam test standard, EN 1568, and the rating that the foam concentrate had received during such testing. That was referenced into the 13565-2 with a correction factor based on the application. So it gave some sort of guidance on the performance of the foam concentrate and how to deal with that in the design of the system. Now, in the new version, they've taken that all out and they simply say consult manufacturer. And so we think that's a very poor standard, because it leaves the designer and the user at the mercy of the manufacturer. It doesn't reference what data the manufacturer needs to provide to enable design. So we as a company, and I think Viking as well, obviously, the only way to interpret that, the reference to the manufacturer, is that we as companies needs to provide proper third-party witnessed tests from actual relevant fire test standards, such as the FM 5130 or the UL 162. that's the only way we can give our customers the data they would need to deploy our products with confidence. That's the way I see it. So it's a step backwards in the standard. I'm of that feeling, and it's difficult for end users to use the standard.
It is, and already we see problems, and it's a very tough one for me when we get asked as the manufacturer what our opinion is. And I referred to the previous FM table as something I really like because it makes my life much more simple. When I'm consulted, we say, here's our test data. This is what we believe the meaning behind that change in the EN standard meant. It's just that it hasn't really got much commentary or explanation on the meaning of that. So I agree with you, John. That's our position as a company as well. So I would urge AHJs, designers, customers to really think about what that means in the standard.
Definitely. It's a very difficult segment of that standard, and I feel it's a big flaw.
So, John, we've discussed at length today the challenges that are facing us, the reasons why we're not keeping up with legislation and demand from end users and insurers, but there is some good news at least. Those delays weren't due to complacency or lack of effort. We certainly faced some issues with COVID last year. Budgets, but we're very pleased that we were able to continue advancing, continue testing, and we've got some news about some new products that offer real alternatives to fluorinated foam. So can you talk to us a little bit more about those, please?
Yes, Simon. I mean, we are extremely proud this May to announce that we will introduce 2 new products with FM approvals for sprinklers. One product has been on the market for a while. It's Fomtec Enviro USP. We now add all the FM approvals with sprinklers to the product, which will enable customers to deploy these in actual sprinkler systems and some top-side device systems as well. Well, and then we have our totally new product, the Fomtec Enviro Arc, which is the first ever FM-approved fluorine-free foam for use on polar fires through a standard sprinkler. Those 2 products are now approved by FM. We got the approval on the 4th of May. And we're extremely proud to bring them to the market. It will enable a lot of customers out there who struggles with the transition and the need to transcend to fluorine-free to actually do it. So that's been a good 2-3 years work together with the team of Viking as well to enable us to bring these 2 products to the market. So, and they are the culmination of years of research and development. Most from our side on the concentrate, but also some development from Viking side on the hardware, and so it's satisfying to be able to bring these to the market now and be able to help people deploy systems in conformity with the new requirements coming out. I'm very happy to bring that out today.
Yeah, that's excellent news, and I'm very happy to have it as well, because we're now back in that position with the FM table with clear design parameters, and we know there's lots of end users and insurers that have warehousing, production facilities, storage areas that have to be protected with foam enhanced sprinklers, but up until now have not had the products and particularly the approvals to use, because these organizations do put a lot of value in those approvals. So I'm also happy to confirm that very shortly we will add the proportioning equipment to it. So our new wide range proportioner, specifically for use in wet closed head sprinkler systems like we've been discussing today. We've also got different discharge devices. You mentioned FM, but we've also got some enhanced UL listings with additional discharge devices, as well as a foam monitor as well, under up to 500 GPM. So yeah, we're very happy at this time that there's a lot of new products coming to market, and this is really going to give some solutions to a lot of the questions that we've found it difficult to ask over the past 2 years.
Absolutely, Simon. And you know, it's all about from our side to be enabling customers to comply with regulations and to provide solutions. You know, it doesn't help you to have a concentrate. It doesn't help you to have a device. You need a holistic approach, a system that is approved end to end. And that's what we are able to bring to the market this May. And we will keep adding equipment and devices to our listing as we go forwards. It's already a lot of other things that's going to appear on this listing within the next few weeks. So that's really satisfying, and I think a lot of customers are going to smile when they see our listing coming up. And from Fomtec, this is two products in a line of products. You know, we have quite a large, extensive range of enviro products now, enabling customers within a lot of sectors to protect their assets with a PFAS-free foam. We have products for the marine, with marine approvals. We have with ICAO approvals for the aviation industry. And we have the European approvals for miscellaneous industrial and municipal applications. So it's quite an extensive range of products that we now can offer to the market.
Mm-hmm. Good news, and I'm sure our audience will be looking forward to see the detail of that and hopefully ask us some questions in the future.
Definitely. So Simon, I'm intrigued by this icon we've seen throughout the presentation. Could you explain a little bit what the idea is behind your new icon?
Yeah, it's because we've got so many different products that have been tested with the two foam concentrates that we mentioned earlier, now with FM approval and a UL listing. What we've already mentioned today is it's important to use those products in a system to their design parameters, and not every configuration of our monitor is listed with the foam concentrate, for example. So we wanted to strike a balance between making it easily identifiable that a product such as a proportioner or a non-aspirated sprinkler or a foam chamber had the capability to work with AFFF foam. And then obviously our caveat is always look at the detail. So this icon will appear on any data page where a product is for use with AFFF, and by for use I mean has a recognised approval and test data. We'll also use that in our brochures and also on our website and landing pages. So it's just something that our own internal people and our customers can easily recognise and say, I'm looking for this type of product. It's got this icon, therefore I can use it. So if it's say an AFFF compatible, that's going to appear on our hardware where it's tested with your phones, and then on the two foam concentrates themselves, we will just have the AFFF icon that you see there on the right hand side. So hopefully it makes people's life easier to easily identify suitable products, because you know that's tough sometimes with the amount of products we do have in our range. So hopefully that explains what it's about.
So I'd like to thank you for listening in to our interesting talks today. It's a topic very close to our heart, and it's a very important topic looking into the intricacies of these requirements for foam assist sprinklers. And so we're happy that you spent the time with us. What do you say, Simon?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you mentioned it's something close to our hearts, but it's also an area where we get a lot of questions from the market. And as previously mentioned, we know there's a lot of authorities having jurisdiction and end users looking for these solutions and answers. So I'm glad we can talk about a bit of the background today, and hopefully people have learned some things. So I would encourage people to contact us at our contact points if they have any questions related to the subjects discussed today.
Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.